Hi, Kai here from Kai's Kreations and Crazy with Kai. So, if you are new to my channel, welcome. Why don't you stick around for a while, especially if you like what you see, by hitting that subscribe button. That would be awesome. Also, if you would please be so kind, if you like what you see, to give me a thumbs up. And if you hit the subscribe button when the bell appears, or hit the little bell, YouTube should notify you, depending on what you choose in that drop down menu, every time I upload a new video. I do Dollar Tree DIYs, lots of craft projects. I do Dollar Tree hauls. I do sometimes Walmart or Michael's hauls, rarely. So primarily craft channel, basically. But I do a lot of Dollar Tree hauls and a lot of Dollar Tree DIYs. And I am super excited today because I have a Dollar Tree DIY that, unlike a lot of times I see DIYs on other people's channels or Pinterest or wherever, and I try them out, and if they work well, I share them with you guys. Well, this one is my own DIY that I invented. I mean, I'm sure somebody's done something very similar, if not exactly this, somewhere, because it's a very kind of common farmhouse type thing. But I came up with this on my own. What happened was I had, let's see, these little cutting boards I'd gotten around Easter time from Dollar Tree, and I didn't quite know what I wanted to do with them. I knew I wanted to repaint them and do something with them. They're not an actual cutting board, it's a cutting board sign, but it looks like cutting board. And right now we don't have the cutting boards, that real cutting boards in, that have the handle like this, and I love that. So then one day someone was going through my line, and if you don't know, I work at Dollar Tree Post Falls. Anyways, they were buying these little tiny silverware things, forks and spoons, from the party section. And I thought, oh my gosh, the idea just hit me. So, I think I cut off the intro a little bit, what I usually say, but anyways, you know the drill. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Every single subscribe, share, thumbs up, like, comment. I love your comments and feedback. Helps me grow my channel just a little bit more. Maybe YouTube recognize me someday just a little bit more. Right now, I think I'm still under 50 likes, and my goal, or 50 subscribers, and my goal is to get to 100 subscribers right now. It's a small goal, but if you guys would help me out with that, that would be so nice. Anyways, so here's what I got for you today. My idea. I'm going to take one of these that I got around Easter time, and I will let you know alternatives you guys can use. So these aren't out at the Dollar Tree anymore right now, but if you have some in your stash, or you want to cut out a piece of wood like this, or you have another sign or real cutting board you want to do this to, any of those would absolutely work. So just find yourself some kind of cutting board sign or real cutting board or whatever with a handle, and you can make it work. So I'm going to turn that into that. How cute is that, you guys? I love it. Let me try to get it in the light here for you to really see it. There you go. And you can see that sign, the menu, Eat, Pray, Love, which is one of my favorite movies and books. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. So this will be our example. We'll set that over there. And I'm going to let you know what you're going to need. First of all, like I said, you're going to need some type of cutting board or cutting board sign. You are going to need small plastic plates, or a small plastic plate. I got 8 of these in a package for $1 in the party section at Dollar Tree. So there you go. Then you're going to need silverware. I got these in the party section at Dollar Tree. Obviously you get a lot of forks and a lot of spoons, and you only need one of each. So you could make several of these or use these for other projects. But there you go, you need those. And then also I found these recently in the Dollar Tree. If you don't like the pineapples, you can easily sand that part off. But these are just some really cute little wooden forks and spoons. They're really thin. I think you could wash them and reuse them. I don't think they're necessarily meant to be washed and reused, but I thought they were just really cute, and they're not plastic. They're actually wood. And like I said, you can sand the image off, so you could use a bigger, and this one has fork, knife, and spoon in it. So if you don't find the little silver ones, or want to use something a little bigger but still want that wooden look, or something not an actual fork or spoon, there you go, that would work. And you get a knife with that one too. So like I said, I show you alternatives. Paint, I am going to be using Waverly Antique Wax as a stain, and I got these at Walmart for about $8. I'm going to be using Waverly chalk paint in white, and I'm going to be using, for the green, Waverly chalk paint in moss. And again, I got those at Dollar Tree for $8. Any brown or stain is going to work. Any white will work. Any green or moss, or if you want a different color, will work. So there's your alternatives. Okay, twine. We are going to need some twine. This is actually what I have left over of a roll, but this is what I'm using. So you can see about how much. Let's see. Is this still folded right? Yeah. I think I folded it 4 times over, and it's about that long. So down to my boo-boos. Or a little longer than my hair. That's how I folded it 4 times over, so it's 4 strands high. That we're going to need. So I'm going to set that aside. And then what else? Ribbon. I'm going to be using a little piece of ribbon. You can not use any ribbon if you want to, or you can use any type of ribbon you want to. I like this one from the Dollar Tree with the little lemons on it, and that just went right down here at the bottom for a little bow, just a little accent. Okay, then you're also going to need some letter rub-ons. I got these at the Dollar Tree, and I don't have the package out, but you'll see I also used some other rub-ons. They had a packet with these leaves in black and white, leaves in, oh, I just broke that off, sorry, leaves in green, and then more of the leaves in black and white I have on the green part right there, and little flowers right there and right there. I know this light is like not the best today, you guys. There we go, that's a little better. You can see it a little better. Okay, so there's that. So put that back into the example. And then you're going to need some little chalkboard signs or tags. You're just going to need one of them. I got this 4-pack at the dollar store. Like I said, this is all Dollar Tree items for this craft today, you guys. And a label maker, or, you know, besides the rub-ons, you could also use a Cricut to cut things out. You could use a label maker. You could use sticker letters and leaves, whatever you want to do. And then for me, for the label maker part, this was glued on the back of that. I just pulled it off and, you know, sanded it down. So you can barely see where it was broken off. And on the back too, which isn't going to show. And put this on the top. And then I used my label maker to make a little menu sign. It's got some little food items and tea on there. Like I said, you can use sticker letters, Cricut, whatever you want to use to make this little label. I used my Dynamo label maker. And then that will go on the top there, like that. Okay, so, and it says menu, if I didn't mention that. What else? You will also need a glue gun and some hot glue. You will need some Mod Podge. I can't find them now. That's lovely. I used the matte on the backgrounds, and I used the glossy one on the plate because I feel like real plates have a little sheen to them, have a little shine to them. Okay, so there we go. That's what we're going to need. So let's, without further ado, get to it. Okay, I'm going to cut off this tag to start with. Get that off of there. Okay, and we're going to start with the background. So that means we're going to start with the Waverly Wax. Give me 1 second, you guys. my mint is. There we go. Sorry, I need to refresh my mint. If you know me in person, you know I have a horrible addiction to the Brock's little red and white peppermints, which I used to hate. That's what the weirdest part is. But anyways, so I've always got one of those in my mouth, guys. Literally. Always. Okay. So, I'm looking for... Hold on one second. Another thing you might need or want to use is a rag. You can tell this is actually clean. It's been washed. But these are my crafting rags. So, those are all things that just don't come off anymore. So, what I did with the wax, antique wax, to use it as a stain is I got a brush about this size and shake it up really well. I like with these chalk paints, any big things of paint like that, I shake them up really good first. I don't know, I just feel like they settle, and sometimes they settle weird. Tap the top a little bit so there isn't a ton on the top. Okay, there we go. Then I don't even use like a, you know, a paint past, I don't know what they're called, a paint thing. With Waverly chalk paints, I just dip right in there. Let me put you guys down so you can see. So I'm just going to dip right in there. And then I'm going to paint the background, not the little fresh carrot sign, but the background here, like this. And I'm literally just going to slap it on, not really caring how it looks, because again, we are using this as a stain. So we're not going to really care how it looks too much. Okay, so I'm just slapping it on. Just like that. Let me see here. Okay. I mean, I'm trying not to be too sloppy, but like I said, we are not going for perfection because we are going to use this as a stain. And I want some of that fake wood shiplap stuff to show through. Okay. So, wipe off my brush, get any excess off of there, set that down. I'm going to take the rag, and you can do this with a paper towel too if you don't have a craft rag, and just rub it a little bit. Like that. And I'm trying not to rub it off per se, but rub it in. Another thing you can do if you're more patient than me, and I might end up doing that anyway, is wait a few minutes till it's starting to dry and then rub it with the rag. And I try to, once I've got it rubbed a little bit, try to very, very lightly go over it so that all the rub marks, let's say, are in the same direction going up and down, so it looks consistent with the background shiplap that, or fake wood that is showing through. So, see, like on the bottom, I would go under that first to get some under there, and then rub it down like this. But you can start to see it very quickly. Look at that. Look how good that looks, you guys. It's not painted on there. It's not thick, but it's really nicely looking like a distressed cutting board. An old distressed cutting board, and that's what we want, guys. We want it to look like an old distressed cutting board. So that is perfect. Okay, so I'm going to move that, and I'm really happy with that. I'm not going to change it at all, so I'm going to go ahead and rinse off that brush and put that in the water and close up this one. Then, what I do is, after that, I paint my plate, but for your guys' purposes, I have painted a plate ahead of time, and for drying purposes too. So, I'll show you what I do. Let's see. Let's do the green first, because then that can actually dry while we're waiting. So again, Waverly chalk paint and moss. Gonna shake it up a little bit. Now this time, I am going to use a little bit of sandpaper. I didn't put this in the description box that you needed it because you don't need it. Especially if you're going to go over this with anything other than white or a thick paint. You don't really have to sand that image off. But what I did is I just went ahead, that block's not working for me, And again, the sandpaper and the block I got at Dollar Tree. So, still all Dollar Tree items, guys. Still very affordable. Need some pan paper and just work on that image a little bit. Just a little bit so that I don't have to do a million coats of paint. And we're kind of starting fresh. So you can see just what I mean. Like, let me show you. Rubbing just for what? A few minutes. It's already starting to like wear off where you barely see it. So you don't have to do it too much. And you don't have to do it all the way where you see nothing but white. Definitely don't have to do that. But I think it helps the paint adhere better too. And it helps, you can get some wood edges showing on there. I should have probably done this before the stain, but honestly the stain's drying enough where the little soft sandpaper, you know, the little wood sawdust, that's the word I'm looking for, is not going to stick to the cutting board much, so that's fine. So what did I sand? For like a minute or two at the most? Okay, and then we're going to make sure if you do that the way I do it, you actually close your eyes so you don't get stuff in your eyes. There we go. And then there's a big old finger paint blotch down here. Finger blotch where I where I had hit the wood, but that's okay. See, this got lighter because my fingers were there holding it. So I just smeared it. It's fine. Like I said, with rustic farmhouse decor and distressing things, imperfect is actually perfect. You don't want a perfect paint job. You want it to be rustic and distressed looking, so that's fine. Okay, so now that I've got that sanded down enough, plenty, I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to paint this. Now I think I'm going to do two brushes on this because first one, okay, I'm going to do it like I did the other one, dip it in my moss green and scrape off some excess. I'm going to start in the middle just to get coverage. Okay, just to get coverage, I'm going to start in the middle, and I'm going to be careful around the edges, but I'm just going to do that middle. And again, we don't want perfection because guess what? We're going to sand this when it dries too and distress it some more. So we just want that color to be slapped on there more or less. And again, even in the middle, that's not going to show because the plate's going to be there. So you just more or less want to cover where the lettering, where the sayings were, you know, and that's another reason to sand it a little bit too. That. Okay, so let me show you. I don't know if you guys can see. I have now covered all the lettering and picture behind it, and done it pretty much all the way everywhere except for the little corners. So I'm going to wipe off my excess paint, and I'm going to get, and if you're patient, you could just start out with a little brush. I'm going to get a smaller brush like this, and I'm going to very carefully go around those silver pins. Now, you're going to get some paint on the silver pin unless you're super careful, like I am not ever. You're going to get some on there anyway. It's not a big deal. You just let it sit for a minute and then get your towel and dry it off. Just make sure you've got a good cone of paint around the pin and that paint is not piled up, it's smoothed out, if that makes any sense. Let me see if I can show you. Okay, so like, let's see here. Trying to get you an example. And now, of course, this one's not doing it. Okay, like that corner would be piled up paint. It's drippy and bumpy. This corner is not. It's smoothed out. So you want it smoothed out around the edges of that little tack. That's what I'm talking about. And this moss, I noticed, as you're painting it, it makes it different shades of green Do not fret. As it dries, it will even out and be more of an even color. Okay, once that has dried a teeny bit, you know, you just take your cloth and kind of edge around it. And you do have to play with it. You have to keep getting a little corner, or you can use a little wipey or paper towel. And as you wipe some off, you'll smear some more back on. Just do that as best you can, and then you can take your finger. There. See how I have now made that silver again, but not really upset the paint around it too much. Excuse me, guys. I just got a frog in my throat out of nowhere. Okay. Alright, I'm going to do this one now. Just wipe off some of that excess and then use my finger to scrape off any more excess. There we go. See? Bottom two, top two done. Okay. So I'm going to do the bottom two. Same way. Just going to paint sort of carefully around them, but not worry too much about it. Like that. Smooth it out. Smooth this one out. Okay, then get my rag, wipe it off a little. Let's see here. Wipe that one off. And let's see if I can use my thumb a little bit, my finger to smear it off. Oh, that one didn't work as well. Let's see here. Okay, and that one. Let's see here. Okay, then at this point I'm going to take the little brush and just kind of go over anywhere that looks like it might need a little bit more paint, or it looks a little sloppy. But again, we're going to distress this too. So see, like that side where the white shone through? Not even going to worry about that, because I'm probably going to sand it and make it look like that anyway. We are going to distress this later. I just want a nice thin coat of paint on most of it. And I don't want bumpy paint, so I'm smoothing out any creases or bumps the paint has made. Okay, just like that. Okay, then I'm going to set that aside to dry. Okay, and again, I'm going to wipe off my brushes and go ahead and put them in the water to be rinsed and washed out later. Let's see here, like that. And I'm going to close up my paint. Okay, now, while we set that aside to dry, over here, I'm going to show you the paint, the plate. I couldn't say plate without trying. My brain was trying to say paint, but I really wanted to say plate. Okay, I'm going to show you the plate. Again, got this little 8-pack in the party section at Dollar Tree. This is what I'm using. Going to start with the back, because even though the back's not going to show, it is a see-through plastic plate, and painting the back, I don't know, just gives it more whatever, and I like it. I just prefer it that way. That way, if any paint on the front gets rubbed off or doesn't show or isn't totally covered, then you're not going to see through the plate, because there's white on the back too. Does that make sense? Okay, and again, I already prepared one for this, so I'm just going to show you how I paint it. So I start in the back, start in the middle, and again, starting out, just slap on a good amount of paint. For this one, you do want a good amount of paint. I mean, not a ton, but you do want a good amount. And I make sure the whole middle is covered first, like that. See? The whole middle, the edges aren't covered yet, but the whole middle section is. Let's see if you can, there. Okay, so then I start to worry about what the middle looks like, and I do a little bit of a circle pattern. Again, this is not going to show. It's not a big deal. Just do the best you can to kind of put that in a swirly circle pattern. Can you guys see that? Let's see. There you go. Like that. Then you're going to take a little bit more paint and go around the edges and just get a nice little coat on the edges. I do it all the way around to where my finger is, and make sure it's not leaking or super bubbled up on the other side or the edges. Make sure it's nice, flat, and even. Then I set it down and do that little part where my finger was, like that. Then I let that dry, and when it's dry, and a lot of times, if you guys have seen other videos from me, I get impatient. I use a hair dryer to dry that, but I'm not this time because I already prepared one. This is what it's going to look like on the bottom. This is what it's going to look like on the top side, still shiny. So we're going to paint that top side the exact same way, starting with a good coat of paint and in the middle and work our way out. But we don't need to do that because, let me see where I can put this. We already have a plate. I don't know why I can't say plate today, you guys. Prepared. It's got these letters on it, though, so let me get that off. So, when it dries, that's what it looked like on the back. Again, it got a little green on the back. I don't care, because I'm going to glue this on the green sign. It's alright. It's fine. And then, on the front. Now, what happened on my first one, it only happened a little bit on the second one, but the paint started to crack when I dried it with the hairdryer. Let me see if I can get you to see that. You see that cracking? At first I was really upset. So you might want to use a thinner coat, let it dry naturally, not use a hairdryer. I don't know. Something other than the methods I used if you don't want that. But even though at first I was upset by it, the more I looked like it, the more I looked at it, it looked like an old china plate cracking. So I thought, I'm okay with that. So we left it. Like I said, look, this one, you guys, not perfect. There's a lot of cracking in there. See that? But I like the way it looks. It looks like an old plate. And that's what we wanted for the distressed sign. So, there you go. Okay, now, oh, I forgot to close up my white. So, since we're not painting anymore, I'm going to put that one in there too and close this up. Okay, now, this part, basically, we want to do Eat, Pray, Love, and I picked these letters, rub-on letters to do it with. Now, I'll tell you guys little tips if you've never done this before, which I'm sure a lot of you have done this type of thing before. Let me see if I can. Okay, first of all, lay out your letters. Cut out your letters, especially for rub-ons, but even stickers, and lay them down. Okay, see how I've laid them on here? Eat, pray, love. Lay them down how you want them to be on your sign or whatever, okay? Even how close together you want the letters, you know, play with it. Then start to figure out where the middle is, okay? So first of all, the middle word is obviously pray. So I'm not going to start with eat or love. I'm going to start with pray because that's going to go dead center. So I'm going to put that on there. And then I'm going to decide, okay, where's the middle of that word? Well, it's a 4-letter word. So the middle should be right between the R and the A. So then that's what I do. I go like this. Let's see. Okay. So I'm going to find what is, you know, just eyeball it, what the middle of my plate looks like. And I'm going to put the R just to the side of it. Then I'm going to put the A just to the other side of that. And then I can play with it. Okay, I want them a little closer, so I'll scoot them both in a little bit more. Then I'm going to add the P. Then I'm going to add the Y. There's something on there, sorry. Like that. Then I'm going to look at it again and see. Does it look like it's in the middle of the plate? Is there even spacing on both sides? Yeah, actually that looks pretty good to me. So then I'm going to go ahead and put this word down, and then I'll do the other 2 words the same way. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that. That's my little trick. And then I use, my favorite tools for rub-ons are either this, which has a pokey side, and this side that I use for the rub-ons. or this little tool that has a pokey side on one side and a little ball side on the other. This ball side works really good on rub-ons. So I'll show you. So again, I usually will start with the middle. So I'm going to take that R and I'm going to peel it off very carefully from the backing and put it down right where I had it. This is why laying it out ahead of time is so good and important. Okay, now I'm going to scratch this off like that. Well, rub it off. And you'll notice it'll get a lighter shade of whatever color it is. And that kind of means that it's already, that part is adhering to your background. Okay. Just give it a really good rub. Make sure it's all down there good. And then I use the little pokey part of this to kind of carefully pull up the edge. There. Okay, so that R is now on there permanently. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do that same technique with the rest of the letters, and then centering the eat word and the love word on the top and bottom. Exact same technique. So I'm going to pause this and come back when that's done, as I've already showed you how to do that technique. Okay, I'm back. So as you can see, I have adhered my rub-on letters, Eat, Pray, Love, and they weren't as centered as I thought they were originally, so they're not perfectly centered at all. I think pray is sort of, but love and eat are a little off center somehow. So, you know, I'm okay with it. I'm going to leave it that way. Like I said, imperfections are okay. If you're super OCD, though, I mean, I'm pretty OCD sometimes too, but if you're super worried about it, the wonderful thing about these is that you can scratch these off if you want to and repaint it. When it dries, put some more letters, try again. Trial and error, you know, that's how we learn how to do things better. So if you really want to, don't worry if you make a mistake, as long as you have enough, you know, sticker letters. Now, I'll tell you a clue. When I buy rub-on letters or any rub-ons or any stickers, but especially sticker letters or rub-on letters, I buy 2 or 3 sheets to make sure I have enough letters for at least a few projects that may need more than 1 A or more than 2 A's or maybe more than 3 C's or whatever it is. So I buy in bulk a little bit. So that's a good idea, especially when you're doing these projects. I have 3 or 4 of this particular kind just in case I need them. So there you go. Now, I know we're at the 30-minute mark already here, 32 minutes. I'm going to try to finish this up as soon as possible. It really only takes you about 30 minutes or less to do this whole project, but because I'm explaining it and going in stages, it's going to take a little longer. The next part is very similar to the Eat, Pray, Love part. I'm just looking at the other one, and I've got my rub-ons cut out of my leaves I want to do. So I'm just going to play with them, and this is how I got the design. And again, this is where you can alternate. You can use different rub-ons or stickers than I used. You can you know, not use any. You could hand paint some on. You could use a stencil, or you could place them in different places than I do. I had these 2 big ones I put on first, coming from the middle of the love, the L and the E on the love sign, and then I did the littler ones coming up under them like that, sort of. And then I did, let's see, the leaves. These were coming out from the eat word up above like that. And actually that one's smaller, so I might do that one on that side. And it's okay if they overlap a little bit. You're just kind of placing them where you want them to be. And then the 2 little leaves and the 2 flowers, those are going to go on the actual board part. So see, I've got it laid out like that. And I'm just going to start with one and take it off just like I did the love sign, the Eat, Pray, Love signs. Put it very carefully where I want it to be, because once you set it down, you don't want to pick it up or move it. The rub-on may have started to adhere. And then again, using whatever your favorite rub-on tool is. You can use a popsicle stick. You can use a rub-on tool. You can use one of these things that I'm using. You can use a coin sometimes, or a fingernail even. Just depends on what works best for you and what you have and what you like. And just going to rub that on really carefully. And then take off the top part. And now that is a permanent part of the plate. Okay, I'm going to pause this again while I do these rub-ons, because I have now showed you how to do them. You should be able to do the rest. Just place them how you want, and then peel off the backing and put them down where you want very carefully and rub them on. Okay, I am back, and as you can see, I have placed all my rub-ons and adhered them where I want them to be on the plate. And I'm happy with that. Again, this is where you have freedom to put whatever rub-ons or decals or Cricut cutouts or stickers or freehand or painting or whatever designs you want on here. Okay? Don't have to follow mine exactly if you don't want to. Then, this is now dry. Perfect timing. So we're going to take some of our sandpaper. As you can see, a little bit of green actually got on the brown part. I don't want that for sure. So I'm going to sand that part to get the green off, because I don't want green on that part. Like that. And then, you know, just any part that got green on it that isn't supposed to, I'm going to sand that off. And just go around the edges, checking for little mistakes and things like that. That, and then go around the edges, especially of the middle green part, and I'm going to scratch up and distress some of those edges. Because remember, the middle part's not going to show, but we do want some distressed edges. Let's see here. And like I said, get creative in your placement. Just do a little bit here, a little bit there, that kind of thing. A little bit more on one part, a little bit less on another part. You get the idea. Let's see here. Okay, then I'm going to go over here and actually distress some more. Again, doing it mostly around the edges because the very middle ain't going to show. And see that? See that? How it peeled off and showed the white underneath? That is gold, my friends. That's what I actually want to happen in a couple more places. Let's see here. This sandpaper is kind of falling apart on me. I think I did a little bit too thick of a coat on the green, and that's holding me up a little bit. That's why you want to be careful and not do that. There we go. Okay. Let me brush this off. Get some tissue here. Just see what we're working with. You know, you want to check in with yourself once in a while. I'm going to double check those brown edges and make sure there's no green poking through on there, because there was a few green spots and we don't want that. Okay. Now, so you can see, I have thoroughly, let's see what's the best light for that, distressed this around the edges and in various spots. And I think the outside edges actually are lacking a little distressing now, so to match. So I'm going to go ahead and distress a couple areas on here too. There we go. Okay. Wow. Okay, so this is different than the other one even, but again, no two are alike when you're distressing and doing things like that. Look at that, you guys. That's like very distressed, and I love it. I am perfectly happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to wipe off all the sawdust. Okay, throw that over there. Now we are ready for Mod Podge. Now, I'm going to use a big one in matte to go over the whole cutting board, brown part and green part, and just give it a nice, good coat of Mod Podge. And how much you use on this is entirely up to you. I'm just careful around the hole so it doesn't get all drippy and bulked up, but yeah. So even though I'm doing the whole board, both parts, the brown and the green, I'm going to go ahead and go over the brown first and then work my way in towards the green. And again, around these edges, I'll go like this to get in there on that edge, but then I'll go back and paint it the same way of the board so that it's got those up and down, what do you call them, vertical lines, if there's any lines to be seen in the paint, in the coat of Mod Podge, then they will be the vertical lines going the same way as the fake wood grain on our cutting board. Or if you're using a real cutting board, the same way the real wood grain goes. Okay, see, go across to get under there and then down to go the same direction as this fake wood grain. Okay, just like that. And I like to do a coat or two, or a thick coat if you're just doing one. Go around the edges, make sure there's no drippy parts. You know, it sounds weird, but I don't know how to describe it. Sometimes, see, I even use my finger to just make sure there's no bulked up glue inside there dripping, and no bulked up glue around the edges. Want everything smooth and laying flat. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and start doing the inner part, the green part. And I'm going to do the same thing where I'm going to, you know, accidentally paint over the little tabs, the little tacks, but I will wipe that off in a second with my finger because I do want those to be shiny. Like that. Okay. Okay, that should be good. Okay, I'm going to set that aside and put this Mod Podge away because the next part we're going to be using the glossy one. Okay, I'm going to wipe that off, like I said, with my fingers and or a little tissue or wipey. Just kind of wiping over the tacks so that there's not Mod Podge on the tack, really, because that doesn't need Mod Podge. Okay, I find the best way right now is I'm just using my finger and then wiping off my finger with a wipey. And then, let's see, is this still wet? No. Okay. Just shine it up a little bit. Let's see if I can show you guys. Okay, I think I actually want another wipey, and we are at 43 minutes now, so I'm going to pause again while I do this and let this dry up a little bit. Is it recording? Outtakes in the middle of my video. I know it was recording. I think I hit record on accident. Oh well. I'm waiting for the paint to dry, guys.